Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale Star Wars The Clone Wars figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at Darth Sidious. Now I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new Clone Wars figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, up front we've got some figure photography. I'm hoping the hood sits this naturally on the piece inside the box, because I do not want to spend hours futzing a frickin' 1/6 scale hood. These things are the bane of my existence. We've got a metallic foil Star Wars logo below that image, then the Clone Wars color scheme glossy wraparound banner, featuring a shot of Palps without his hood on. That shot right there is giving me some serious creepy vibes with the smile just poking out from under the hood. I love the way that looks. It's also on the glossy wraparound banner. It sits proud of the surface. Just watch out for it when you're popping this box in storage. You don't want to get this caught on anything and tear it off. On the back of the box, warnings, legal information, and Hot Toy store locations. That's a sick shot right there. We've got Clone Wars Maul versus Darth Sidious. And now with the announcement of Savajo Press, we can have both of the brothers fighting the would-be Emperor. First in-hand impressions for Palpatine. So far, so good. I'm liking the look of the robes, and that head sculpt is already impressing me. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. When they initially revealed this base mold to us with a handful of figures, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it work on the same shelf as characters standing on their rectangular bases. This is not one of their one-off diorama bases like what we get with Darth Vader every now and then. This is going to be a heavy rotation base going forward. They've already announced multiple figures coming with a base exactly like this. However, the top plate is customizable depending on the character, and they can change the color of these little peel insert windows. I like the glossy purple for Darth Sidious, but doing this in orange, and then gunmetal for the main body of it for Bespin? Absolutely. And we've seen different colors for Han Solo, for C-3PO. This has very quickly become one of my all-time favorite Star Wars base molds. Quite the turnaround, considering I didn't know if this was even going to work on the shelf at first. The top plate is wide and flat, going to be great for dynamic posing. This is just a cardboard print, but the little ridges are raised as part of the printing process. There's some speckling of silver absolutely everywhere. Then the nameplate simply says Star Wars and Darth Sidious. Up top, an adjustable crotch grabber. Their USB-C powered LED light-up lightsabers, they're just not very good. I don't like them at all. If you do, that's awesome. I'm not knocking you for liking them. I just personally don't connect with them. Speaking of connecting, the saber hilts connect up to the junction box. This can be hooked onto his outfit somehow. He doesn't have a belt, but maybe underneath his robes. Or you can switch out the clip for this one, then you can have it connected to his crotch grabber arm. I suggest you do that. The less stuff hanging off Darth Sidious, the better. You don't get a USB-C cable with this, it's BYO, unfortunately. Luckily, we don't just get the LED sabers. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future they do that though, just for cost-cutting measures. These are the non-light-up ones. They're not as shiny as their lightsaber hilts usually are. Maybe that's the Clone Wars aesthetic they're going for. We've got a red and green button up front, some shading at the bottom, metallic silver and gold. Then the lightsaber blades are swappable. You can remove the straight one and you can switch it out for a swooshing effect blade. This is still an equal fan all the way down. In my opinion, You don't have to agree with me on this. It should be a straight-edged blade like that, then a curved arc behind it. That makes it look like his lightsaber blade is traveling through the air, rather than him just swooshing it back and forward like that. Lastly, we get some hands, ranging from these sick-looking lightning effect ones. I cannot get enough of these hands. The lightning is translucent towards the end, but then it's more cloudy at the bottom as it transitions out of his fingertips. There's even some purple shading on the translucent plastic. Then we've got a pointing finger hand for the right with the pinky curled in. You'll see why I mentioned that in just a second. And a relaxed-ish open palm hand for the left with an insane amount of detail on them. Wrinkling, skin texture, liver spots almost, a subtle gloss for the fingernails, cuticles, all of it. Relaxed open palm hand for the right, same great level of detail, and another pointing finger hand. How does it differ compared to this one? Slightly. Thumb is more flared out and the pinky is more curled in. Then two gripping hands already installed on him right out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Darth Sidious himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Not that Papa Palps really needs it, because he's got presence all on his own, just standing there in his maroon and navy robes. The head sculpt is so good, the proportions are so strong, and the outfit is so form-fitting and well-tailored that he not only looks realistic as hell, but he's impressing me, even from a distance. And I've not messed around with anything yet. The hood, the lightsabers, the moving eyes, nothing. Just a simple Ian McDiarmid figure with a smirk on him is somehow oozing presence. It's the Darth Sidious factor. He's got this creepy yet innocent smile on him. You don't know if he's going to zap you with force lightning, or he's going to be kind and generous and tell you some kind of story about Darth Plagueis. It's that duality that cannot have been easy to capture in 1/6 scale, but they did it, and they made it look easy. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Palpatine's head sculpt. Quite frankly, I think it's a perfect sculpt. I can't fault it. The expression with that goofy but also sinister smirk is spot on for me. This screams Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor/Darth Sidious. Then we get to the sculpt work and the paint applications. We've got sculpted skin texture, then we've got wrinkling, the crow's feet, the baggy skin over his eyes. But the paint applications sell the realism for me. The subtle green shading on his upper lip, the redness around his eyes, the freckling, the way they've feathered the edge for the hairline so it looks like his scalp is poking through. This is a next level head sculpt. I was worried that it wasn't going to turn out as good as the prototype. I was worrying for no reason, it turns out, because it might even be better than the prototype. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this Palpatine sculpt? It's a single piece head with the neck, so there's even skin texture and wrinkling all the way down into his outfit. The only complaint I have with this sculpt is this zigzag seam across the back of this hairpiece. The reason it's removable is because his eyes can be moved around, so I'll forgive it, but I would have preferred something a little bit more seamless. I'm partial to some side-eye, you'll know that about me. And this sculpt, with the eyes looking off to the side, is even more creepy. Oh, dude. Looking up and forward with the head sculpt down? When we pop the hood on, this might be the winning eye position. There's still two more I want to try out, though. No. Every eye position I try out, this head sculpt gets better and better. Now I'm thinking maybe I need to rock him like this permanently in the collection. It's such a versatile sculpt. An exaggerated expression like this you wouldn't think would be, because it should only lend itself to working with certain eye positions, right? Not the case. So far, I am very impressed. This is the worst of the bunch. Even then, imagine the Force lightning hands on as he's looking down, all creepy like at Darth Maul or Ahsoka or something, and because we've tilted the head sculpt all the way back. That detail on his neck is now fully exposed. That was something that I thought was going to be an issue. Maybe not so much. It all depends on both the head and eye position combination I end up going with. We're back to stock. Now he looks like a semi-innocent, harmless old man, and that's what he'd want you to believe about him. Let's try out the hood. Normally, I struggle to get these hoods to look good. Doing this on camera, probably not the best idea in the world, but I'm going to try and copy the hood position from the front of the box. As you just saw, that was so easy. I've shaped the hood with the wire around the front. We've got the screen printed lines over the top. It's just the right shape and size so that you can bring it over his eyes and cover them up. And now he looks like Clone Wars Darth Sidious. I'm still struggling. How do I display him? Now the hood has added an entirely different element to the mix. Eyes visible, head sculpt visible, or fully hidden by the hood. Around the back, there's no wires along the top of the hood. There doesn't need to be. The ones at the front, they're sturdy enough. They do the job, no problem. This little mini cape thing is wired along the bottom. It comes like this out of the box where it's tucked up underneath itself around the edges. Around the front, it's flat for now, but those wires will allow you to do anything you want with it. This brooch, permanently fixed in place, it's not removable, I don't think. Removing the hood, the collar is quite high on the outfit underneath it, including the inner collar. That's not how it's pictured on the front of the box, and that's not how the prototype looked. I don't know if the stitching on mine was just misaligned and then the hood and the inner collar were stitched together incorrectly. That's possible. I think this might be a running change. They decided to make the collar sit higher, and then when you have the hood on, he looks even moodier because of it. They just make it look more shadowy inside the hood when it's on top of the head sculpt. When you have it down, he comes across as though he has no neck. I will try and futz with the outfit to get this to look a little bit better because I do want to expose that skin tone neck, which I've already said. The way his sleeves are cinched with this velvety material just over the bottom of his wrists means it's going to be pretty hard to install the cables for his LED lightsabers through the sleeves to route them underneath the outfit. I don't have to worry about that because I'm not going to do it on my copy. I never use hot toy sabers, but if you're planning on using them, I would suggest taking off these beautifully detailed hands first, then threading the cables through the sleeves, because the last thing you want to do is to rub up those connectors against the hands and do damage as you're trying to get them through the sleeves. These poofy baggy sections are stitched in with the pleats. You can bring them over the top of these velvety sections if you so choose. I reckon I probably will end up doing that on my copy. His outer robes are screen printed all the way down to the bottom. They're wired along the front edge and along the base of it. What's underneath them? Well, first of all, they're lined with this velvet style material. We've got a heavily pleated and textured black skirt, a textured black cummerbund, and a textured black shirt up underneath all of this stuff at the top. It's not going to be on display for me, but perhaps if you wanted to try and find a way to remove this outer stuff, then you could foreseeably have him with the skirt on full display. Underneath the skirt, some black trousers and some pleather boots. Why were these not sculpted plastic? Because you can't see them anyway? No idea. They love using pleather for Star Wars characters' boots. They're going to be more restricted in terms of range of motion because of it, and eventually, these pleather boots are going to crack and flake and degrade on you. Two things we need to try out before we can move on to comparisons. Number one, the Force lightning hands, and number two, the USB-C powered LED light-up lightsabers. Dude, every time I try something new with this Palpatine, I fall more in love with this figure. It's such a simple piece. All fabric outfit, Just a really solid head sculpt. And now some Force lightning effect hands. The lightning effects are nice and compact, yet they pack a punch. They add so much presence to the front of Palps. Am I going to be rocking him with the lightning? Not sure about the hood, not sure about the eye position yet, but the lightning hands, they're a must. The only concern I have is I might end up going with these on the episode 6 Palpatine figure. We'll try out what that looks like in the pros and cons segment. If I prefer them on him, then he's probably going to end up rocking these. I've got everything connected. Both sabers hooked up to the junction box, then connected to my power supply, which is just a cheap little battery bank. But where does this go? You could hook it to his cummerbund on the inside of the outfit around the back, perhaps. I believe connecting this to the crotch grabber arm is probably the best way to go. Turning the sabers on. You ready for this? Blink and you'll miss it. Boom. It's fine. It's better than nothing. They're quite bright at the bottom, I'll give them that, but towards the top they get very dull. With the studio lights turned off, maybe they're going to look even better. Let's try that out. They're still too dull for me. These are no fusion reactor sabers. I'm hoping fusion reactors are working on Palpatine hilts right now because I'm going to need to pick up 2 of them. Just to put it in perspective, on the right Hot Toys, on the left fusion reactors. This is their Darth Vader lightsaber hilt, so it's not accurate to Palpatine. I just wanted to show you how much of a difference a fully illuminated blade can make versus going base slit. That's what Hot Toys did. For a quick side-by-side comparison, what a brilliant idea by George Lucas. The foresight on that man, seriously. To take Ian McDiarmid, who was younger back then for episode 6, and age him up with prosthetics and makeup, so that when the prequels roll around, you can use the same actor to play Palpatine. That worked out perfectly. So we have Ian as Chancellor / Emperor / Darth Sidious / Palpatine from the prequels through to the original trilogy and onto the sequel trilogy with The Rise of Skywalker. All the same person. On the left, we've got the Clone Wars version of him, and he's a little bit taller than his episode 6 self. I'm okay with that, because as people age, they get slightly shorter. He's got the hunch, the stoop, and he's got the walking stick. Who's to say that Clone Wars Palpatine isn't wearing some slightly bigger, bulkier shoes versus episode 6 Emperor? People have told me how dated Clone Wars Maul is. I don't see it. I still really like Clone Wars Maul. Next to Darth Sidious, excellent pairing. When Savage Opress comes out, this trio is going to be outstanding. It'll be a while. I believe it'll be worth the wait. Next to Ahsoka from Clone Wars Season 7, not really a pairing that I'd ever go with. They look great together, and now that I've turned down the light on the right side of the frame so you can see Ahsoka's Leku, there's more shadow on Palpatine's head sculpt. That gives him a really sinister vibe. Going over articulation without the hood on, I left it off just so that it doesn't get in our way. Starting off with the head sculpt, there's a ball joint at the base of the single piece neck, which means he can look forward to there. That's further than I was expecting, honestly. Looking up to there, swivel, and a little bit of pivot side to side inside this very high collar piece. His arms go up to there. His outfit is full fabric, so nothing is getting in our way. Going forward and back on soft ratchets. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90. Then for the wrist peg, it's a ratcheted hinge and swivel. His torso crunches forward to there. There's a little bit of padding to contend with, so it is more restricted. Going back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. His legs kick forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee on ratchets going past 90. Then some good old-fashioned pleather boots with a double ball peg inside of them, good for forward and back rotation, as well as some ankle tilt. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is, for the prototype version of Sidious, the outer collar sat quite low, and the inner one was down around the base of his Adam's apple. That way you could see his skin tone neck. Unfortunately, during production, they changed the way the collars work. The outer one sits very high now. It looks like he's got some kind of neck brace on. And the inner one rides up under his chin. That comes across as though he's got a turtleneck on underneath his outfit. I've tried to adjust the outer one. It's stitched in place with the hood, so that can't sit any lower. The inner one, I've rolled over onto itself and tucked it in. Still, I'm not getting as much skin tone neck as I was hoping to. The second annoying thing, and I know it needs to be here, so you can take the back hair panel off and move the eyes around, it's this big ugly seam line across the back of his head sculpt. We've seen them integrate these seams perfectly into the hair strands. This is the opposite of that. The tolerances are nowhere near tight enough, and the zigzag sculpt work is not doing this panel any favors. The only way to hide it completely is to have him wearing his hood permanently. The third annoying thing is these lightsaber blade effect pieces don't make sense to me. A lightsaber trail is meant to look like this, a straight edge blade with the curved arc behind it. If a third-party company can get it right with their 1/6 scale Yoda, surely Hot Toys can. Just adjust the mold ever so slightly, and then these lightsaber blades will finally be usable. The first cool thing is this neat little compact diorama display base. It's weathered, we've got the purple windows adding a pop of color, and this slightly textured cardboard base topper. This is an extremely versatile base mold, and I hope we see more of it going forward. The second cool thing, Palpatine is a hood-heavy character. You're quite likely going to want to have him wearing this, and I don't know what kind of sorcery is going on with the wires and the stitching in this hood, but it took me 2 seconds to achieve this look. No joke. No futzing, just pinch the wires, job done, and normally something like this would take me ages. If this is a sign of things to come for hoods on Jedi robes, then count me in, I'm going to use these hoods more often. The third cool thing, this looks so much better than I was expecting. Thanks to Clone Wars Sidious, I finally got some lightning effects that are displayable for Episode 6 Emperor Palpatine. The ones that he came with, not so much. They were really long, they drooped down, they wouldn't connect to his hands properly. Now I don't have to worry about any of that. This is how they should have done the lightning effect hands from the very beginning. Wrapping up on Hot Toys Star Wars The Clone Wars, Darth Sidious. Get him. Do it. This figure is so good. He's so simple though. How did they nail it with a baggy robe and a hood that could have gone terribly wrong and a head sculpt with a crazy expression that could have ruined the entire thing? Somehow, it all worked out. Yes, the collar is my big overarching complaint. That's the one thing that I'm not a massive fan of. But as a whole, I can forget about that based on the strength of the hand sculpts. Yes, I said hand sculpts. The hands look incredibly realistic. The head sculpt with the moving eyes, that sinister but also innocent expression depending on the eye position, the versatility of this figure being able to go in a Revenge of the Sith display, or a Clone Wars area of the collection, or maybe even Rise of Skywalker, I don't know. Wherever you need a Darth Sidious, you can use this one. So at the end of this, without repeating myself too much, I'm in love with this Clone Wars Darth Sidious. They nailed it from head to toe. This is perfectly executed except for the collar and the seam on the back of the head sculpt, two extremely minor things that I can totally live with. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button? if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.